I will call the meeting to order. Roll call. Brenda?
Avendroth,
Here.
Bryant,
Here.
Cassava,
She's supposed to be, she's not here yet.
Crosby,
Here.
DeFonce,
Here.
Drennan,
Here.
Fairchild,
Here.
Latta,
Here.
LePage.
Here.
La Mancha was asked to be excused. Mandeville,
Here.
McDonald,
Here.
Roland.
Here.
Valencourt. And Yendo asked to be excused, and we have a quorum.
Okay. Oh, wait a minute, I gotta get my right agenda. Or something else. Well, now we'll vote on the consent agenda, which includes approval of absences, approval of April 24th, 2023 agenda, the approval of minutes of the February 27th, 2023 meeting, and the committees for which there are no reports at this time: advocacy, financial, health plan, negotiating, nominating, personnel, and property. Can I have a motion?
Also moved.
Okay,
Second.
okay. Scott or? Was that Brenda?
I didn't, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Okay, it was Linda.
public comment period.
Mary
Anyone have,
and Lauren.
do we have any public comments? Any public here? No, okay. Communications, Brenda.
That would be me. Steve received an invitation from Wilmington E.M. Cooper Memorial Library. It was an invitation to their open house to celebrate their grand reopening of their newly remodeled library. They held that on March 11th, and they also wanted to extend a thank you to him and to everybody for their ongoing support of the library. Next.
It's a very nice remodel. I don't know, most of you were there when we met there at that one time. And it was seemed crowded and cluttered. That feeling is gone. It feels more relaxed and more open. So I think they did a really good job.
Was there an addition or just
No, it was
a
all
rearrangement?
rearrangement. They don't have really room to create. an
Yeah,
addition.
the river there and.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got both of our public.
Okay, oh, no, and next up,
Sorry.
there was an article in the Sun Community News on the Sherman Free Library. Basically asking the public for assistance. It said the library has been privately funded for the past 130 years, thanks to two endowments. At this point, it said the operating budget that they get from the town isn't enough to maintain, and if it is, it's just at a basic baseline. So they were looking for additional funding to make them more sustainable, and specifically, they were looking to the taxpayers for about $45,000 a year. And it was Sue Nephew, who was the president of their board, said the Sherman Free Library needs to be adequately funded so we can grow and change and support our patrons. The town vote will be held on May 23rd. The library itself is going to host the election. And she stated if residents fail to pass the vote, the library would be in dire trouble. Unless taxpayers pick up the expense, we would no longer have a library. So pretty much pleading to the public to help them with their financial situation, and that's all I have at this point.
Is that a single issue vote, or is there something else going on and that's one of the issues? Do you know?
A single issue vote.
Or it's a village election and then.
No, it's the library. It's actually conducting
Yeah.
the election.
So
which
it's
surprised
just
me.
for the library vote. It's not
Yeah.
part of a village
Right.
election.
Yeah, because that then I guess will allow them to
Yeah.
be part of the school budget.
Oh, that's
So
right. we
if they
had
get
that.
approved, then they.
Okay. Oh, hi, Hope.
Hi.
Made it. Okay. Okay, the No further ado then, president's remarks. I really don't have any remarks, other than I'm going back to Florida where I saw sun at 4:30 for 60 days. At least a blue sky. We don't see much of that here. No, I don't have anything else. Okay, Plattsburgh Public Library report.
I think you received a written report. The
Uh-huh.
only addition would be that the Central Library directors from the 23 library assistants have started to meet again on a quarterly basis. So we met this morning and we'll meet again in the summer and then before the NILA conference. It's nice, there are a lot of new Central Library directors, and it's good to get to know each other. We also talked about the new Central Library Services aid, which I think there's a budget in here for your approval. The MAP committee approved it and my board's gonna vote on it tomorrow. But it's just a restructuring of those state funds. And then we put budget together for this year going forward.
Anyone have any questions for? Yeah. I just, your reports are always very well written and just
Oh, thank
keep up, and I'm just pleased with what the library does.
Thank you very much. And I just want to introduce Courtney Carey, who is here representing SEPTA, the CEF Directors Association. We met two weeks ago, I think, and Courtney agreed to be the representative to this board.
Oh, nice,
Thank you.
nice.
Welcome.
So both of those ladies are ex officio members of this board.
Okay,
So
that's good.
What library are you associated with?
Tupper Lake.
Oh, very good. Very
Nice.
nice of you to drive all the way.
Oh, yeah.
Reconsider.
Okay, the CEFDA report. In our packets, or that's you? Oh, that's you, okay.
So I did not send in a report. I apologize for that. I can next time we meet. We're planning on meeting in June. We met back in March just to kind of like, just get a nice restart onto the SEPTA meetings. We haven't met since COVID very frequently, so we'll be doing a lot of talking and just kind of like figuring out everything from there. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Anyone?
Not yet, be ready next time. No.
I will. Do you have the list of when our meetings are already? For this year?
I did see something in the packet.
Yes, it's usually the very last page of packet,
Yes.
because I went through all mine on my calendar today. I was there. So to make sure I wouldn't forget anything. Okay, if no questions, we will go on to the director's report.
okay, we've been really busy getting the annual reports done. We're still at 28 of 30. Two libraries who have not yet completed their portions. So we're being more firm in reminding them. But the staff has done a wonderful job getting them information, helping them fill them out. When they came in, we reviewed them. Each of our 4 librarians, consultants, have about 8 of the libraries that we divvy up. And so we don't put it all on one person. It used to be pretty much Michael checked them all. And Michael still does. He just does mostly the financials. And I see Michael is on for us today. There he is. Hi, Michael.
Yep.
Michael.
Hi.
Anyway, that's been our system annual report is also part of that. We've just about finished with it. When Michael comes back, he's going to put some finishing touches on the financials, and we'll have it ready for the board next month to approve. So you can expect it in your packet. Put an item on my report about our automobiles. That was precipitated because we've recently had some significant repairs on the van that have had to be done. Wheel bearings and things like that. And we're pretty tough on them. It's been 5 years, or almost 5 years. that We picked up that van about the same time I came to work. And it's got more miles on it than I do. But I just want to put that on your radar. We're not in a crisis mode yet. We don't want to get to the crisis mode. We'd rather just smoothly transition to some new automobiles. We had a CEFCAT meeting, which is a meeting of all the libraries. I included late the notes of that meeting and some of the things we talked about and discussed. It was, I don't know, it was good from my point of view. Was it good from yours, Courtney and Ann?
Yeah, I was just there for the afternoon for the member advisory committee. But I did watch the recording of the morning session today, and they discussed a lot of things, and it pointed out there are a lot of discrepancies in how we perceive things as member libraries. So I think that's a good conversation moving forward.
Right.
And I must say, the Saranac Lake Librarian was very happy to have a meeting of all of the members he mentioned to me.
Yeah.
In one of my daily visits.
Good. And that's just like the SEPTA meeting of directors. There's so many new directors and you feel very alone. You're stuck in Keysville, and you don't know anybody, and you're running a library and you don't know anything about it. So the Directors Association is sort of a camaraderie, and we try to help the new people too.
We also, Brenda, I'm not seeing the budget for the CSLA funds. Did we do that? Well, we ought to make a copy of that. Do you have it there?
Here if you'd like.
Okay. Brenda, if you'll make copies for everyone.
It's really just the top page. The second page is kind of background.
The CSLA funds now are a little different. Those are funds that, in addition to some other things, are spent on materials that benefit the entire system. Up until March, they were strictly limited to adult nonfiction in print and electronic format. Those restrictions have now been lifted. And we can look at spending it on other things. And so Ann and Sarah, who are responsible for all that ordering and things like that, have come up with a nice budget. It was presented at the CEFCAT, or at the MAC meeting, which followed the CEFCAT meeting, and was unanimously approved by them. We need to vote on it. And that's why you'll need a copy of it. And then, as Ann said, her board votes on it tomorrow. And then it becomes law.
That's power.
So what materials are you looking at using the money for, since it's not restricted to adult nonfiction now?
Thank you.
I'll let Ann answer that.
So the one thing that we discussed this at the Central Library Directors meeting today, how we're all reallocating this funding. It used to be that we had to spend $66,000 just on adult nonfiction. And that was a big task. You have to spend it all. So we have a fabulous nonfiction collection over at Plattsburgh that all belongs to the system. We have system stickers on everything. We have a lot of ebooks. We did talking books, DVDs. So now what we've decided to do is continue to buy nonfiction with that. But you'll see on the top page, there are we're gonna pay for the full Overdrive platform cost. We used to divide it with CEF about which part was fiction and which was nonfiction. The databases are the novel lists, and there's a car repair and the Mango language. The audiobooks DVD, that's pretty consistent. The print books, we'll spend 20,000 instead of probably 45 we were spending. And then at the very top, it's Central Library Services, and we used to, this is consistent with the Central Library Development aid that we used to get, and that money all went toward our staff, our librarians and our clerks that process all the interlibrary loan or the items we buy with this money. And it was confirmed at the directors meeting today that all of the libraries are continuing to include that aid to their libraries in this new budget cycle. It's become part of our budgets. It's part of how we operate. And really, if we had to spend $168,000 on materials, we'd be really hard pressed. When I came, we spent, I think, 45 or 50,000 on databases, and when we dug in, we'd see maybe nobody used them year after year. Or one person looked at one journal that we were paying $5,000 a year for. So it was easy to spend the money, but there was no return. And that's what came out today. A couple of the directors said, you know, we've been just buying databases, and now we're looking at the usage and we really can't warrant it. So this is how we broke it out, the synthetic software that came out of this, the Central Library Services or development money before. But on the second page, you'll see, this is sort of Sarah's own spreadsheet, kind of how we're breaking it out in terms of what we're purchasing. So we can now purchase children's things with it. So children's nonfiction. We have some standing orders for large print. And then we'll add some young adults, which young adult nonfiction gets filed with our adult fiction or nonfiction in the library. And then the Overdrive, years ago, Plattsburgh spent about $10,000 on popular best-selling fiction Overdrive ebooks to supplement the account. And we were trying to work a system where all the libraries would contribute something, maybe based on their book budget or based on their overall budget, even if it was $500, but just so that it was sort of a cooperative system. And that just didn't go anywhere. So we dropped back. Our book budget is the one item that when we're negotiating with the city for our annual budget, if we lose $10,000 in funding, our budget is so tightly packed that that's probably the only place we can take that 10,000 out. So this year, our book budget is only 40,000. So we are glad that this money is available through the state to supplement what CEF has been buying for the adult fiction ebooks. It's $84 a book, so it doesn't go far.
Now, is Overdrive what has now become Libby or something?
Yeah, and,
It also works through Sora. Is that all connected?
pardon?
Is that Sora as well?
Yes. So what we've done in the past is if we quit buying books by the 1st of November. So all the invoices come in, our accounts are clean at the end of the year, the books are processed. But if we have any money left over after November 1st, that's not encumbered, we do spend that on Overdrive fiction. So I think last year we might have spent $3,000 or $4,000 on the Overdrive fiction. So we do try to contribute that way. So otherwise, this is how we've broken it out. It's kind of hard just to look at, but on the top section, you'll see Overdrive content. So that's that includes, there's also a $3,000 content credit that we get back for paying the $9,000 for the platform. So it's a lot to digest, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
What is synthetic?
That's something that Steve can probably tell you more about. It goes.
And do I
with our
care?
s-
Of course I can.
Actually, it is mostly for the user catalog. What it does is it brings up some information tied to those books, like
Oh.
cover, the picture of the cover
Oh,
that
okay.
you see when you look up,
Mhm.
that's Syndetics.
Okay,
Links to reviews and things like that. That is part of the Syndetics package.
Any other questions?
The amount is 168.
That was the amount that the 2022
Okay.
budget, we just stuck with that because we haven't.
We don't have a
We don't
budget
have a
yet.
number. And then we put a note in saying that any difference we would use out of overdrive content.
Okay,
And this new format, I borrowed from some other systems. They're using this format. It seemed very clean. And then Sarah just provided the second page just for a little bit more clarification.
So what you're being asked to approve is the first page. And as I mentioned earlier, I give it my full backing. I think it's a well thought out plan.
I'll make that motion to approve the 23.
second,
I'll second.
okay, Liz? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Good job, ladies.
Thank you.
Anything else, Steve?
Well, we don't have any financial reports today. We were hoping to have a few things for you, but because Michael got delayed in returning, they just aren't ready. So we'll save you that motion.
Okay. And you did mention in your report that they'd be in next month, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And how far, are we up current with all of our financial reports now?
When we do next month, yeah.
Yes,
you'll-
okay.
you'll get-
Okay, I
We'll be
wasn't
up in
here last
current.
time and I guess I didn't read the
Right.
number carefully. Okay, good job. Okay, committee reports. I don't believe there are any. Okay, unfinished business. Anyone have anything? New business. Okay, we have lawn care quotes. Okay, got that- Is that in the packet or?
Yes, it should be. And it's down towards the attachment.
Toward the end. Toward the end, okay. Small jobs, mowing, okay, got it.
Then in case you didn't get it, there is an adjustment on the price,
No,
the comparison summary sheet. For small jobs, it has as $29.90. It's actually $28.40 for the season.
around small jobs,
Yes, that's the lawn care provider that we have now.
okay, okay. And what was the change, where on that page?
It's the last sheet
Uh-huh.
of this, all this material, and it's at the bottom. It's the seasonal price. The seasonal price, it has $29.90. It should be $28.40. That's the correction.
Okay, I got it. Okay. Okay, now this is the, so how many did we get? Just the,
4. I
Four.
sent out a lot, but that was the 4 responses.
so we have J&J,
Mhm,
clean cuts, Plattsburgh lawn and snow, and small jobs.
correct. And small jobs is our current provider.
Small jobs is current, okay. Okay,
Was small jobs the cheapest last year, or did we go with them for another reason?
might have only had that.
I think we only had
I
one.
think we only had one hope, if I remember.
Okay.
so all of those are true.
Have we been satisfied with small jobs?
They've been pretty reliable.
Okay, so theirs, it would be 2840, right?
Mhm.
Okay. And, okay, what's the other one? $19.75 for J&J, right?
Correct.
Okay, I just want to see, and then 2,700 for clean cuts. 2450 for Plattsburgh lawn and snow, and then 2840 for the season. Does anyone have, Does anyone have any, from that page done? Okay. Anyone have any questions, or how should we?
Is there a recommendation,
Yeah,
Steve,
that's what I'm,
from,
that's what I'm.
from your office or from the?
I, I have no problems with our current service, but it is the highest priced one.
Mhm.
And I think we need to be fiscal agents.
Yes,
J&J, the only one that has liability insurance.
Small Jobs does as well, and
I think it's required to.
I thought so too, but she only had paid for that first one.
Clean Cuts as well. I'm sure they all do, but
Yeah.
it's the one that directly provided it right off the bat with the quote.
I think that, sorry,
Go ahead, Michael.
I think Small Jobs just, he had a medical issue at the end of last year, and I think he just did his price. So he wanted, I think, not to have the business. I don't know why he did put it in, but he did have a medical issue and he was really very sore at the end of last year. So that was just my thought of, that's why he
So
put
he
it
kind of
so
put it out
high.
of range, is what you're saying.
Yeah, because he went from 40 in 2021 to 75 in 2022. And I don't know what the per mowing is, but it sounds like over $100 a month. I mean, $100 a mowing.
I'm gonna start a lawn care business.
No.
Dale? Yes, go ahead.
Do we have any references on the other bidders? I mean, do we know anything about them? Because I'm wondering why we should necessarily take the highest. Or if we should.
Well, I don't think we're saying that we should take the highest.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm not from the area, so I don't know anything about any of these people. Does anybody that lives in the area know anything about these people?
Brenda, who did you have the easiest time with? Or who gave the most information fast?
J&J was pretty responsive, property maintenance, and he's the lowest price.
Well, that's, I mean, we can,
I would think we'd go with them and see how they do. I mean,
and if we don't like it, then
agree.
we won't go again. Right?
Yeah.
That's just what I was just gonna say, Tom. I
they
can't
want
see
the
any sense
business
unless
evidently.
that's the only quote you didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
and,
Well, actually, all three of them, they were pretty responsive, but
well,
Yeah, we
it's
can
just,
buy them for a year and
yeah, that's what I was just gonna say, Tom, that I don't see any reason if he's the lowest to try him, and if we don't like it, then.
true.
Do we
Then,
know how long he's been in business? If it's been quite a few years, then it sounds safer than if somebody just opened.
Or not, because it could be someone who's the most enthusiastic.
It's true.
right.
Well, you know, I'm always a little hesitant when somebody is so much lower than others. But just glancing at these, the only couple of things, you know, pruning, J&J says once in the spring. Another one says twice, Clean Cuts is twice per year, the others say as needed, so, you know.
Right.
I-
There's different, like
Yeah,
specifics for
right.
each one, so to try and like,
Right, but they all are saying weekly mowing, you know,
Right.
sort of the critical things, but,
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, I mean, let's face it, it's a small piece of, you know, it's a small property here. And,
Yeah, I mean, if, does someone want to make a motion to take J&J property maintenance and,
I'll make that motion.
okay, Tom, second?
Okay, and we're sure that they do have the liability insurance.
Yes, she just said they
And
are.
that's that one that.
Oh.
I think he actually was.
I can second it.
Lonnie seconded.
Yeah, Lonnie
Yes.
seconded, okay, I'm sorry. And yes, you just answered that question? Okay, any other questions before we There's a motion on the floor. Any other questions? Before we take a vote? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, we'll give them a try. It's kind of encouraging to think we at least got 3. I mean, 4.
Well, yeah, exactly.
And with pruning, you're only supposed to prune in the spring,
Well,
you don't prune in the summer.
Like I said, I was,
I'm a
when
gardener.
there's such a difference in price, I sometimes like to see, so what are the different
And
offerings?
if he is a new business, and he's, you know, starting out with a lower price, he'll find out another time, and we'll find out if he's not that good.
Well, yeah,
You know, I mean, you haven't heard of any of that, these, you haven't heard of that one at all. I'll go home and just check. I may do one of those
Yeah,
little report
sure.
things, yeah. Find out what I can find out. If we've really messed up, I'll let you know. Okay. Okay, pandemic response policy was sent as a separate piece.
yeah.
And what are we gonna do? What do we have to do on this, Steve?
It's, we're required to review it every year.
Okay,
So it's actually been almost 2 years. Hard to believe, isn't it?
yeah.
Been dealing with this
Seems like
for-
50.
I think this is the thing we'll do for 50 years and be like, there'll never be another pandemic.
Right.
Right.
Don't
Are-
say
are-
that.
We're gonna be in the middle of it for the rest of our lives.
Are you proposing any changes to this policy?
Not on this one.
Just a renewal or
Yeah, just to
We get too many papers here.
continuation.
approve the continuation of it.
Just have that in hand here, now I don't. Okay, so then we go on to the trustee education policy, review and approve.
Did we vote? Do we need to approve that policy?
Oh, I'm sorry. Annual review, I just thought it was just a review, I didn't forget to.
I don't know.
It had a date of February 21 before.
We probably should say reviewed and approved.
So you need a
Today's date,
motion.
right?
I'll move it.
Okay,
I'll second.
Nicole, Mary seconds. Okay, any other questions? I can't find mine, but it's here somewhere. Okay, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay. Trustee education program. Policies.
Policy, this is according to the new requirements. This was adapted from the sample policy that was created, I believe at NILA. It meets the necessities of the law. Basically, it says you get to get 2 hours of continuing education. And how we keep track of that. The easiest way is if you have a certificate of completion from a course, we just throw it in and call it good. Otherwise, you need to do a self assurance that you took something, and that form is the last page. And it just asks the basic information on the course. There are pre-approved providers, so you can go out and do your own thing if you want. Just make sure that they're on that list. If not, I can approve them for you if that's appropriate.
Is the trustees handbook book club one of the ones that you've approved for us, or is
No,
that?
those are provided by NILA, so there are
They're not
employees.
Renila, okay.
And so they're already okayed.
Okay, thank you. And they send us, they email the completion certificates and say, save this. Do you want us to mail them right away, or do you want us to hold them until you need an annual?
Bring them into a board meeting or.
Oh, not the email copy.
Oh, the email, you can just send them on to Brenda.
Okay, send it on to
She'll,
Brenda, thank you.
she'll put it in your folder.
do we have to approve
Yes,
this?
this is a new policy,
New policy, okay.
so
Can I have a motion to approve the policy?
So moved, because this basically is,
Dorothy, I'll have discussion after we get
on the
it.
floor.
Okay, anyone, second?
I'll second.
Okay, Scott? Okay, any questions or comments, please?
So this basically is a policy to comply with.
The law.
With the educational law. I mean, that's the reason we developed.
right.
Anything else? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. Okay. Revised, lost, or damaged in circulation. Policy.
And this was up for review. It came to our attention because we had to refer to it in a situation. And it was an adequate policy. There were a couple of things that we wanted to change. So paragraph 5 talks about how often we will look for materials on our shelves so that they're not sitting out there 6 months or whatever. And then there was a paragraph 8, which on the one that was sent with your original board packet, the paragraph 8 is there. On the version that I would like you to approve, I have deleted paragraph 8. We talked about it in the SEPTA meeting, and all the directors there agreed that it was unreasonable and draconian and unnecessary. And I happen to agree with them. I don't think we need to be threatening our libraries with calling their presidents of their boards for lost books.
Oh. That's the way to encourage people to be on the board and.
Yeah. So anyway, those were the 2 changes that we made to that. And so it is looking, if you have any other questions, comments?
I'm curious, how many lost, damaged occur a year?
It happens. I don't know, Michael, what would you say? How many damaged books do we do in a year? Half a dozen?
At least, because there's maybe 3 or 4 with correctional facilities. And then I would say dozen at the very most.
Yeah.
But
Not a lot.
Here to what goes out
Right.
and everything.
but we're also working on that lost list. Maybe you want to explain that to them, Steve. Because there might be books on there that we're gonna have to be billing because they are lost.
One of the things about keeping it current and doing our searches often is that we will probably increase our billing so that we don't have a situation where we printed a current list and it went all the way back to 2019. And so we wrote off everything before 2022 or something, and then searched the rest of them and found 8 or 9 on our shelves. So that those won't be involved. But the others, now that we're going to do that every month, there may be 1 or 2 or 3 every month.
And are you billing the library or are they billing the person that took out?
The responsibility is to the person who borrows the book. But the library, you know, they're the agent. And so they're the ones that are issuing the bill.
So if I borrowed a book through the system and it came from Peru and I didn't return it, or there's a question of where it is, Peru would bill me?
Is that how it works, or does,
I'm just curious.
It'd be through your library, I
Yeah.
believe.
right?
So it's your library. hours.
So, yeah,
Sherman Free would bill.
right, they
Okay,
would bill you.
that's what I was trying to figure out how it works.
But the money would go to Brew.
That makes sense.
We had some questions right along those lines and decided we needed to have that as one of our topics of the next SEPCAT meeting,
Good idea.
is because there's still some questions and we need to all be on the same page. Lonnie?
This is maybe, might have been before the pandemic, just before the pandemic. I damaged a book from the Plattsburgh Public Library because it was very heavy and it fell on the floor. And I brought it in and offered to pay for it, and I was refused.
Was that Sarah?
I can't remember.
Was it greatly damaged?
Well, it might have been repairable. I couldn't tell because I didn't have the facilities. It was a very heavy book, and I think the cover might have gotten partly torn away from the rest of the book. And
I was watching the broadcast of that SEPCAT meeting, and it's like patrons are more important than the book. And it's something that we can put a piece of tape on, or we can glue the binding. You know, we don't want you to say, my God, you're charging me $60 for this book and I'm never coming back. So we try
well,
to
that book cost me $100. I later bought my own copy because it was very valuable to me, and it
Okay.
cost me almost $100. So,
Okay. So we put the copy you damaged back in the system, don't worry.
okay.
But we appreciate when people bring that to our attention. We've had people drop them in the puddle and then stick them in the book drop and they sit there overnight.
Oh,
You know, that's just not very helpful.
And if it's the 32nd time that someone has brought it
Yeah,
up,
we
you know,
can
you get a
track
little.
that too.
and now they mold other books because they're in. Okay, any other, did we make a motion yet?
I don't think so.
Me neither, okay. So do I have a motion to accept the revised items lost or damaged in circulation policy?
Can I just ask one more question?
Yes.
Since we have two librarians here, is this policy good? Do you approve of this new policy since it's gonna affect both of you?
I was alarmed at that last paragraph that was coming out because I thought, we have a policy that my staff can't call my board of trustees for anything unless I've done something really egregious. So that idea of sort of, we're responsible for managing the library and for another library be calling our board about things that we're responsible for. I don't even know who wrote that, frankly, because it just
Doesn't
is
make
so,
any sense.
it's just contrary to what we all represent and believe in.
Right.
And otherwise, you know, the one other thing that needs to be clarified is this, we're saying this just applies to the materials that are housed in the system, not the books we might borrow from OCLC, which is out of the region. Or school libraries.
Yeah,
That's a kind of a separate issue because it's crazy. When those books come to CEF, they check them out to us as a library. So if I ordered something from Plattsburgh State or one of my patrons, it comes checked out to Plattsburgh Public Library. And then we have to check it out to that patron. So the system that's borrowing it doesn't have any idea who that's actually for. So if they don't get it back in time at here or Plattsburgh State, then we get the bill, even though we're still trying to get the book back from that person. And we just had this where we did get the book back from the person, but my understanding is that CEF had already paid that library for that book. You know, it was a couple months, but so those are the kinds of things we really need to work out. But I do want to say that we had this discussion when Eva was here that I'm not responsible for what my patrons lose. If you're my patron and you lose a book, then we're going to put it on your account. We're going to block your account and you're responsible. Plattsburgh Public's not going to pay you for that book. We used to budget money and I said, no, we're a system. We share patrons. And those people are the ones who are responsible to pay for lost items. And there were two library directors at that meeting that still feel that their library is responsible for their patrons, that they're going to pay for items that their patrons lose. And I can't support that. I can't put that in my budget. I don't support that. So that is still a topic of conversation.
Right. We pretty much agreed that there's two systems going on here. There's the internal system, which is between the libraries in the system, and then the others that are outside. The outside one is pretty clear. The inside one is the one that we need to have this next conversation about.
But I think, Tom, to answer your question, this does, we all have a little bit different policy, but this seems to reflect the general consensus among the member libraries.
Okay, good.
So you're comfortable with this policy?
Yeah, as long as paragraph 8 is.
You don't even see it on ours.
No, I don't either. None of the
Yeah,
ones we
it's
got.
missing from our copy.
Okay, I think we haven't had a second yet, did we?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, any more questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstentions. Okay. Motion passes. And the board terms.
Board terms. When we got to doing our annual report this year, one of the things we have to do is list every board member and their terms. And we discovered two anomalies. And they both involve the Clinton County seats. The way it's laid out and the way it's planned is that each county has 5 representatives on the board, and they expire in consecutive years. So there's one each. And in the Clinton County, we had a couple that didn't do that. One was Tom's seat and the other is Dorothy's. So we are faced with what to do with them. One of them looks like the error came up in 2010.
Oh, wow.
And has been perpetuated since then.
Right.
The other, it seems like Dorothy was reappointed to a term a year early.
This, I think, came because I was filling somebody's seat, but, you know.
It could have
I
been.
think it was related to that, but.
Anyway,
It usually states that on there, but maybe that just got, got put on usually, because most of them say fulfilling somebody else's term is the way it is. So maybe just, that was quite a while ago.
So you'd have to go back to 2010 and.
Right, figure it out.
so anyway, what we're trying to do is reset it.
Yeah.
And what if we just did it as a reset, Dorothy would serve an extra year and Tom retires a year earlier than he thought. If that's not the only way we could do that. We could have Tom finish the term that he's appointed for and then appoint the next one for only 4 years as unfulfilled. We could do the same thing with Dorothy's. If she wanted to leave a year early, well, we can build the seat, but we would like to get it back on track.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Now, I know, Tom, in your email, you would ask something about because they've been appointed by the legislature, that is this gotta be, can we do it or does it have to be done through them? Because the letters say, they specifically say when they're going to be, what their terms are. And am I stating that correctly? Because I wasn't.
They would have to pass all new resolutions
Right.
concerning both of us to change their terms.
Okay.
Because their terms are determined by legislative resolution.
Right, okay, that's just, I thought I reread that email several times to make sure I understood it, but I just want to make sure. And,
So some hinges on them too, are they?
Right.
right, I can't see, they usually don't question us, but, They might now.
I have a question. If Dorothy was appointed for a full term a year early when she had another year to fill out, then why don't we just appoint, I mean, not right now, but after Tom's term expires, if we appoint Dorothy for a 1 year and then another longer term, if she wants to do that, wouldn't it solve everything without making us search for new people or different people? Unless that's what we want to do.
I think it might be confusing to switch, we've got
Oh, okay.
positions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with a name in each one.
Right.
I'm a little concerned that if you started swapping people, moving me from Clinton County
Three.
position 3 to 2. Whatever's easy, this is administrative right now.
It
I
is,
think this is
it's,
And it's totally understandable. It's happened on at least one of the boards that I've been on.
Now, if we just have each of them fulfill what the resolution said,
Mhm.
right,
okay, and then it would be, Tom would get, they both get done when?
I think they both get done in 24, is that right?
I think so. I didn't bring that paper.
I think that was
Okay.
mine.
Yeah,
And then somebody could go in as an unfulfilled term. And then that would, that
Right.
resolution would go,
we would appoint that for a 4-year term instead of a 5-year term.
which,
To correct.
right, and then we wouldn't have to deal with changing the
Right.
resolutions per se as they are right
Right.
now.
And get them back in sync of one per year.
Right.
To stagger.
I mean, that to me seems the simplest, because then we don't have to get the legislator involved in this. And we can just do it, like, we will know what we need to do for the next time, and then the years will line up. What is everybody, doesn't that seem to be to me?
Well, I do appreciate Tom's comment that we want to look back at what the Clinton County legislators stated in their letter, this person is.
Well, that's what
moving
it's
from this
already-
year to this
Right,
year.
but that, if we do it this way, then that's what they have appointed you for.
Right,
So there's no change on any of that. I mean, those letters come in, and I don't have one of those with me, but it states that.
whatever we ask them for.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So they should both have you ending the 24, in
For-
24.
I think for Dorothy's term,
It's 23, I think.
she was reappointed from 1/1/19 to 12/31/23.
23. Okay, so it'd be this year. So that
Ish.
would,
Sorry, and it should have been
24.
in looking 120 to 24.
Right.
And then. Tom, where's Tom? Where are you, Tom?
So then that's not a conflict. I mean, she expires too soon, but
then we could just do it for 4 years next. Do it from 24 until 20,
23.
but I thought Brenda said 23.
right, so it ends this year, so she'll start again in 24.
Okay.
Starter in
Because it's
24.
December 31st,
Oh, okay.
24.
Yeah.
And then, 23, and then she'd start January 1st, 24.
It's like what they did with Plattsburgh City Council when they started, when
Right.
they
yeah.
looked to stagger them.
Yeah.
They had some for 1 year,
Yeah.
some for 2 years, some for 3
Right.
years,
Right.
to get them on track so that you had the one per year.
Right, so I just,
So if I end this year, Dorothy will still be around another year.
Well, no, Dorothy ends this year.
Dorothy ends this year.
Okay,
When did
So-
you end?
I thought I ended
In 24.
24, but evidently there's some paperwork snafu where I actually end this year. So that would mean both of us leaving at the same time, which,
Right,
because we're both done.
right. That's
We're
our
term
second
limited
term.
out, which leaves, that concerns me. The two of us have been on this
Right, I
a long
was-
time, and
Right, agreed.
not that you were,
But
that's
she
the-
could, but somebody,
And that's
willing
the
to go on
purpose
to
of the
24?
stagger.
sure, I'll do.
Okay, so he's willing to go on to 24.
If it works for me to end it, this is administrative. Actually, I do have a name of somebody who might be. interested.
please,
You know,
just send it to me.
You know,
I've got a couple names, but send it to me, darling.
but I'm saying, this is a clerical administrative
Yeah,
thing.
yes.
But I do think it's important to get them back on track so that
Oh,
you
yeah.
don't have 2 or 3 people
No.
from the same county leaving it, the same, you know. which
Well,
is
that's
what-
the way it was
Right,
built, but
right,
there's a
but we-
mistake.
Yeah, it was a clerical, it was a
Yes,
clerical
mistake.
issue.
Especially being term limited out at some
Right.
Yes,
time.
yes,
There's-
yes.
You know,
Yes.
we remember things that
Yeah,
some people
exactly.
don't remember.
No,
Like yesterday.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I don't remember everything. So where are we on this? He's
So
agreed to stay.
we'll let them finish their terms as stated right now,
Okay,
Right,
and we'll fix it with the next person
That's
that's appointed.
okay, right.
that sounds good to me. Okay.
I think that's the.
But
easiest.
one of them will stay on for one more year.
He'll stay on till
Well,
24.
Right, because
Because
that's,
they already approved me to do
Because that's
that
till 2/24,
anyway,
yeah.
so.
Okay, gotcha. That's what I'm getting at is that
Go back and
as long
renege
as the
there.
You
legislature,
don't want to do that.
keep it with what the dates of the legislature.
yes,
And I see
absolutely.
that he's eligible for another term, so that way nobody has to go.
No, she
No, I'm
isn't.
not.
She's not.
No,
You're not?
No, she's done 2 full ones.
No.
Have you done 2 full ones? No, you were fulfilling a term, I
She
believe.
hasn't. If she came in on an unfinished term.
Yeah, you came in on an unfinished term.
I can't remember.
We'll look it up.
Yeah, no, I believe you were an unfinished term, and so you could do one
Yeah.
more full one, which is,
Yeah.
I'm on my 2nd full one.
Yeah.
And I came in as
Let's look it up and see
unfulfilled
what
too, so,
it is.
well, I have valid
You come in
paperwork.
on an unfinished term. you're
But we're
fine.
probably farther ahead, not having the
tell me that.
legislature have to.
No,
Redo it.
no,
That sort of
no,
thing,
no, I just think
because
stay with their
not gonna
dates and
make
we'll work
anyone
on it
look good.
internally.
We don't need to point out to the legislature
Oh,
that
trust
we
me,
made a
this is
clerical
good.
error when we're
Yeah.
asking them.
Wait a
to
minute,
fund it.
they might be
I don't want
excited
to
because somebody else made one, not just them.
Not when we're hitting them up for more money because we're doing such a great job, right?
Okay,
Can we put on our agenda for next month to talk about the car situation specifically?
The what?
The car, the vehicle stuff? I
yeah,
just don't want it to get lost.
yeah,
in shuffle. I
Yeah,
can see him
that's
presenting it
why
next
we
month,
put
too.
it in there is to get it.
okay,
on
Yeah,
the
so it's a
agenda.
line item for next.
okay, very good, okay. Any other new business? I have none. If no one has an else for the good of the committee, we are adjourned.
Okay, I have money. How do I do that? I need a pen.